Right. Thank you so much, Obehi. I'm Emmanuel, like you know, I'm Emmanuel. I am a business consultant, a telecom consultant, and then I am basically into the real estate. I do a lot of research and development, product development.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started with this episode.
And currently, I'm running a couple of projects. One of them is called Social Entrepreneurs Africa. Our focus is basically to raise a couple of African leaders, build startups, and then invest in them. So if you study me very well through my LinkedIn post and every other thing, I believe a lot in synergies and partnership. That's the kind of person I am. I hope to work with you and then all the people who come to see this later and then we can benefit from it.
Thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. So yesterday you told me that we are going to be spending more time on marketing survey, correct?
Yeah, sure. Market research. Yeah.
Okay, so that is what we are going to be concentrating on more here. But before we get there just now, do you want to tell me a little background about you? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? And help us understand you better when you were still much younger now.
That's quite interesting. I am a firstborn to my dad, but the sixth to my mom. So I come from a family of an approximate 12. My mom had 10 children, one passed on. So I mean 9 plus my parents, that's 11. And surprisingly, I grew up in a town called Ashaiman in Ghana. It's part of the Greater Accra region, but it doesn't have a good record until recently. I grew in there with all the rascals um, before, but there were good people in Ashaiman. Essentially, I grew into a man, but it has not been easy growing up. I've gone through a couple of stuff. One of the things my parents actually instilled in me was the issue of hard work against trying to be independent. So at a very tender age in my early teens, I actually started doing public sales. So I would carry things on my head from fried fishes to pepper to okra to garden eggs to anything at all. I sold water. We used to sell water in cups. So you carry this big bucket and you sell water in cups and people will just call you. You pour into other cups in your hand and then they drink and they give you a cup back. You try to rinse it and then you take it back into your container. I've done the water they used to tie. I mean, in Ghana, we used to call it nyasapo because it's a tide of wisdom. So there is this form of tying rubber, and the water is in this long plastic rubber, and then it's tied. But it's tied in such a way that it's not going to get loosened. So that is that one. And then the normal sachet water you have. I saw pineapple on tracks and everything. And along the line, growing and going to school, I went to one of the best commercial schools in Ghana. It was as a result of my stubbornness, actually. I was quite stubborn. I don't come home from school early. So my father thought it was wise to send me to a boarding school. And that was when I landed my opportunity. So I went through this school, a commercial school in Koforidua called Mujabin College of Commerce. It was the best in the area at that time. It was a very good school because we didn't do just accounting, but we did commercial courses. So our management, our cost accounting, our financial accounting, and then economics, everything was on commercial level. So it was teaching you to become a merchandise or to become a trader. Basically, you could understand the entire system and become your own boss. And it was from that time I developed the interest in starting businesses. So this is basically my background. I've gone on to learn a couple of things. I've done public finance and accountancy. I attempted uh, an executive master's in Dubai, Assam Don Bosco University. I only had an issue with accent. So when I had some small money, I thought of going to Australia and doing Australian Institute of Business MBA. So I decided my executive masters, I think around the 6th month, and then I started the Australian Institute of Business. Apart from that, I've done a couple of courses and seminars. I've held symposiums. I like talking to a lot of young people, so I do a couple of workshops and stuff. And so far, it's been very good. I've been able to start a couple of businesses, 8 of them, 2 of them quite solid, the remaining still trying to find its feet. I'm into telecoms, like I told you earlier on. I'm sure over time, because we had to grow into businesses, so we'll go into them. But I am trying to look at what is not existent to see if I can provide it. So I'm doing public Wi-Fi. I'm doing IPTV in Africa. I'm doing TV boxes, Android TV boxes. People don't need to buy new TV boxes. I specify the technical specifications for my Chinese factory. They produce them for me and I sell. I am going to work with a couple of mobile network companies, what we call MNOs or telcos, and ISPs to be able to give customers endless content on their TV screen for their awards, for e-learning, for online webinars and all those things. So yes, that is where I am. I'm trying to create alternatives for laptops and desktops and tablets in the home, so every home can get access. And then the public Wi-Fi, wherever there is no fiber broadband, I intend to provide solutions around Wi-Fi so that people can still get access to the internet. It's not easy in Africa, but yes, that is what I intend to do.
For the fact that it's not easy, I mean, for those who want to go into business now, they have a lot of opportunity because if everything has been taken care of course, you can still do business. It just means that your business is going to be different. If nothing is there now, there are people that are human beings and there are going to be needs. So if you are an entrepreneur, that is something you can do because it basically means providing solution to the needs of the people. And that is
Sure.
a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Of
what
course.
we're told, that if you want to be an entrepreneur or a businessman, you look for a challenge that is the canker has been there for years. You provide sustainable solutions to it. Sustainable in the sense that you don't just wake up and do a business, but you look at the business continuity, you look at the sustainability, you look at the feasibility. Its viability should not be a 9-day wonder because every business has life cycles. When you introduce it, when it starts to grow, when it reaches a stage where it's matured, so you have stable kind of clientele, sales, revenues, and everything. And then the final stage is when it declines. So you don't intend to be there forever, yes, but you need to be sustainable to cross the benchmark of a 3-year period. Every business in Africa, if it's able to survive with all the strategies, the crafting, executing of strategies, the the change management and the systems, if it's able to survive after 3 years, all things being equal, it should be a good business to go because after 3 years of sustainable solutions, if you plan well, you can actually maintain your position in the market and solutions will be very usable to everybody and depending on which people your target clientele is.
Like we said before, we're going to be concentrating on market survey or marketing survey as it were in business because now if you're going to be producing something or rendering a service to people who will be exchanging money for the value you are giving to them, it's important to understand this market very well. So tell me, how did you get into marketing survey? Help me understand that.
Well, I think that market survey is the most essential step, all things being equal in fact, I built a couple of businesses. I've occupied positions in business development and other marketing and sales related positions. And one thing I realized was that before even you start a business, there was a need to actually initiate a survey of what your idea would be, how it's going to be viable in the market, which people were going to be your major clientele, what they were going to be interested in, and everything. In fact, I actually have occupied positions and I've done businesses where it failed woefully. I know there are bigger people out there who have done businesses like the 7-Up, the Coca-Cola guys, and everybody who started businesses, and they failed for some time before they were actually able to pick up. But their reason for failure wasn't access to capital, just like I have experienced. It wasn't access to credit or the cost of credit. It was understanding the market they were going to be operating in and how to essentially work within the market. So before you design a product, it was necessary to have studied the people who are going to enjoy the product and their taste preferences, their ability to pay essentially, and all that. So I realized that from that point, and I started working on research around the area. So in fact, market entry as in international business, new product development, new service development, I realized about 6-7 years ago that it wasn't only a good business plan, but there was also a plan on the strategy to enter the market. So that is how come I am very keen about the topic.
All right. So, from your understanding of it, what would you say are the key importance of why someone should go ahead and must start a business with a survey, with an understanding of what it's doing instead of just jumping to it and producing or rendering a service to people? I mean, what are the importance of market survey?
First of all, you need to get these things right. You don't just go ahead and develop a product. There are people who have these challenges we've mentioned. Sorry. You remember we said that a business is supposed to be solutions or sustainable solutions to business problems and challenges. So there are people who have these challenges. Market survey is important to be able to identify these people, identify the opportunities in the challenges and possible threats. It was also very necessary, or it is very necessary to do that because you want to avoid failure. You need to avoid failure. You want to anticipate market trend. You want to make solid strategies, business decisions. You want to even secure fund from investors. And investors believe in this cash flow and returns on investment and all the like. If your market survey is not solid, if you don't do a market survey at all, you are not able to predict the trend and the cash flow systems and how your inflows and outflows are going to be. There are about 9 perfect reasons I will share in these presentations why market surveys are very, very necessary. The reason why market research is important is because you want to identify the opportunities and the threats in the market. That's one of the first reasons. So, for example, if you want to introduce a service, say training in telecom, you don't just go ahead and say because telecom is a big industry and it's a whole player, it has become a necessary aspect of our lives. In fact, there are basic needs, but now access to internet and data and information is becoming part of our basic needs because somewhere in 1999, people had predicted that social media and internet is going to influence the world. So for a businessman in the telecom industry, you are thinking of entering into training people to be able to know how to install fiber optics, be able to know how to terminate cables, be able to know how to get fiber to people's homes. No, it is an opportunity, but you need to identify how big it is, how long it's going to last you, to be able to solve it, and how sustainable it's going to be. Especially because in the same market, there are big players. So if you're going to offer training, the question is, why is a big telecom company not offering training and certification? Why is the universities not offering training? So you want to identify the opportunities and be sure of them. You want to identify the threats for maybe new market entries, for maybe existing players and how they intend to strategize and operate. For all you know, they have bigger plans and they can swallow you up only with advertisement they will do. So your business will not stand the test of time. Secondly, you want to avoid business failures.
your market survey is also hinged on giving you information about how people who have already tried the same or similar, either bring a particular product which is the same with a different name, or a service which is the same with a different name or a different company, or you bring what you call a substitute, an alternative um, product or service. So if you want to avoid business failures, you need to know how people who had tried it, how they were able to maneuver, or how they failed and they exited the market, what their challenges were, and try to solve them before you launch. So market research, basically you do that before you launch. You also want to secure funding from investors. One of the key elements of a market research is to help you develop your business plan, by which you are able to also discover how much money you are able to make, how many clients you want to serve, what their target abilities or what we call purchasing power is. Those are very, very important. But when you gather all this information, you're going to give it to your possible investors, or I mean, there are people who intend, depending on the size of the business, want to invest. And this will come with a clear-cut information beyond all the strategies on how much you need from them, how much you're going to give them, and at what times you're going to give them. So returns on investment, what we call ROI, or we abbreviate ROI, and then the capital expectation and the tenor of the capital is very, very important. And that is one of the reasons why you carry out a full market survey. There are several angles of market survey I'll share as we go ahead, but in any of the angles, investors need information on how they are going to get their money back. Their money back guarantee is one of the key elements why you start. Number 4 is you want to establish the viability of your product or service. Your intention is clear, you have a nice idea, but if you are not going to be viable in the market, it's better you know from the beginning and decide. For all you know, the 5th reason is that what you think was going to be viable will not be viable. So you get another opportunity. So there's a new opportunity to now provide a solution to the same people you wanted to serve if you do a very good market survey. So when you ask yourself questions like, do they want this? And the answer from your respondents and the people you're going to ask, and everything is yes, or majority says yes, it is one of the ways to determine whether or not what you're doing is viable. However, if they say no, maybe your next question is, what do you want instead? So if you say if your clients say or your prospective say they wanted options B and you didn't have it, then now you can go and develop option B for them with a sustainable path in your mind, including life succession or succession planning in the business. Then you also want to reduce your risks. Risk is always part of business. We have actually heard that the result or the reward for hard work is more work, but people don't consider a lot of input or effort, they consider result. So you want to look at the risk you have to go through to get the intended result, and you want to try to avert them or solve them in a particular business environment. You also want to understand customers, existing customers. So there are businesses which are existing, and over a period of time, they need to do a new market survey or market research on specific topics. So you want to understand if your existing customers are okay. If they aren't okay, you want to identify new customers whilst you solve their challenges that is not making them okay. Customer service is one key element that is missing in a lot of startups and SMEs in Africa. People develop what you call BPO, business process outsourcing, for call centers just for customer care. So either customers are able to call them, or they are proactive enough to understand what customers' please challenges are, and they call them to resolve them. So they keep in touch with these people. It is a huge element of your capex if you want capital expenditure, because you don't really get direct revenue from customer care, except the indirect referrals and understanding or recommendations, or customers who would always keep coming back. So there are new customers and there are visiting customers and there are customers who come from referrals, but there are also the customers who will come back again for a service. You also want to establish uh, market trends. One of the reasons why you want to talk about market survey or market research is to establish the trend. Whatever was the challenge in inflation in Ghana last year is heightened for several reasons. I mean, we appreciate the Ukraine Russian war, but there are several reasons why these things are still happening. And you need to know the trend and the causal indicators, the reasons for these trends, so that you are able to anticipate them in case you see snippets of this same trend happening. Your market research would have given you enough information for decision making. So these are the 9 reasons why you need to do market research.
Another thing I think people want to understand, particularly those maybe African in the diaspora and or even Africans at home who are interested in businesses in Africa, is if there are the right ways to approach market survey.
Yeah, so let me share with you maybe two things. So I'll share with you areas of possible market research. Very, very important because there are a lot of market research. And then I'll give you maybe the 7 solid ways to do a market research. It will help us understand very well.
All right, please go ahead.
So let me go with the areas. In fact, there's an industry, there's a sector, and there are subsectors. We have heard about the formal and informal sectors. We have heard about industries like agric. We have heard about businesses in service provisioning. We have heard about even the industries that work in food processing and everything. Every kind of business you want to do will fall under a particular industry or a sector. And in Africa, even from Ghana, where I come from, I know that there is at least 70% of the businesses we have are SMEs, and they are the drivers of the economic growth we are experiencing. I can actually extrapolate the same data for most of the African or West African countries where I have visited. So even in East Africa, a lot of businesses actually that promote the economic development are semi-formal or informal, and a lot of them are actually SMEs. So they belong to this category where there are family businesses, there are units in establishing a service line or buying and selling some particular product. Those who are in the FMCG, those who are in the food processing and everything. These are industries. So depending on what business you want to do, you want to identify which industry you fall into, because I can bet majority of those who listen to us are going to be SMEs or MSMEs, so micro, small and medium scale enterprises, and they belong to several industries. One of the areas you want to research is the industry outlook. How does the industry look like? Before you start your business, before you launch your business, how does the industry you want to enter look like? There's a whole lot of process to go through that research, and I can come and talk about it later. Number 2 is a market size, because in fact, there is a lot of market-related adjectives: market size, market trend, market segment, market share. You have existing players. In fact, there is no new idea, in my opinion, under this planet. People who have solutions and they are trying to give to customers, but you think that you have a better solution because of the enhancement you have added and because of the process you want to go through to deliver your solutions. So you want to know the market size. How many customers are in this market you want to enter? Which of them do you want to target? Because demographic is important. What is their age range? What is their expectation? There's something we call value proposition, It talks about the customer, what he does on a daily basis, what his needs are, what his pain space, what they go through, the challenges they go through, and then what they expect to gain if you give them a solution. So a business would have to tackle all the three areas. You need to know what the current market size is, what the challenges of the existing customers are. You need to know what their pains are. There are people who are willing to get your service, but they think that they don't have the money. You need to be able to manage a solution to be able to allow them pay. There are people who expect more satisfaction from just enjoying maybe a margarine or bread spread. So you don't just come and say, okay, have a chocolate spread for your bread, but you want to give them some health benefits, some additional stuff beyond the enjoyment on their tongues. I mean, as far as their taste is concerned. There is also the area for market trends. It's a bit different from the market size. How has the market been growing? Is it a steady growth? Is it a zigzag kind of growth where it goes up, it comes down? Is it a case where people introduce new products every other time, so they cost the same number of customers? So if I live in an area where my service is going to give 30,000 people solutions to their challenges, how many people will come and introduce similar challenges, alternative or yes, otherwise challenges and solutions that they can benefit from, and how are they going to essentially take it as we go ahead, so that I'm able to plan to sustainably increase or stabilize the number of customers I have. No new entrant to come and pick my customers. You want to do competitor research. The people you are going to compete with in the market, what is their strength? What is their weakness? What service are they providing? What unique selling points do they have? Those are very key areas for market research. Then there is the market research for the buyer persona. That is like the fifth area, possible area for market research. How is the buyer personality like? The customer you want to serve, how do they think? You need to understand how they think, because it is for them that you develop these solutions. There is an area for market segment, and that is very, very key, because you talk about sizes, but then in the sizes are segment and target. So if there's a whole community of 30,000 people, is it the case that all of them will be interested in your service? Or which one do you want to pick as a niche? Even in the segment, which ones is your target? So let me give you an example. There is this age grouping for demographics. So we have young people, but in the young people segment, you have those who are in the adolescence, say from 12 to 18, if you want, for a lot of African countries where they attain independence. And then from the 19s to the 25s is another set of people. 12 to 18 may be in their basic education level, but it's obvious between 19 to 25, all things being equal, they will be in their secondary, tertiary. And the same people, all the old people are called young people, they are demography. But then you segment them, which ones you want to target. So market segment is an area which is very, very key. Then you can even talk about the people who are from 26 into the 40s, where you have professionals, where you have people who are existing business people, or they are in university carrying out their second or third degrees or PhDs or any of those things. Very, very key. Then there is the market share research. You want to know, apart from knowing the competitor, you want to know which of them has the largest market share and what shares are available for you, or how you want to play. I've always been preaching about synergies, so I'll add this. So if you look at a competitor landscape and you see or identify businesses or solutions that are kind of doing very well and they are very, very related to yours, you want to provide a unique position where you want to partner with them other than competing with them, because competition is a killer other than collaborations. So I believe that collaborations are better their competitions depending on the matter at hand, so that you want to add a little thing or two to their offering, and then sign an agreement to basically sell the same customers. In that case, you have done your research very well, and you are giving them an offer they can't refuse, and you're trying to also label more like a patented offer, so they don't take it and say, okay, we are not interested, it's part of our plans and all that. So the research is very, very key before you approach people for such collaborations. And then you want to do a research on pricing, product pricing. What is the current pricing? So these are all areas you want to look at. You may have all the solutions and all the information, but these things do not fit better into your business plan. So you need a separate document that has done full research on all these items one by one. Finally, you want to do a research on how to market your product. A lot of times people, well, they are interchangeable, but I think that sales and marketing are either they are linked, but they're not the same. I should put it that way. Sales and marketing are linked, but they are different processes on their own. Sales is converting your market into cash or into payment. Marketing, on the other hand, is to make your product popular and convince people to start calling you to buy where you make the sales. So they are interlinked. One comes before the other. Marketing comes before the sales, but they are two different things. So you want to look at how you want to position yourself in the market, how you want to sell your product, whether you want to use billboards or you want to use social media marketing, i.e. Facebook, all those digital marketing tools, Instagram, Twitter, even YouTube adverts. So those are areas for possible market research. If we are good, then I can go ahead and share the procedures to follow through in the market research.
Yeah, please go ahead and do that.
Now, there are 7 approved procedures from all the marketing gurus. Porter 5, that's Michael Porter, all the very key guys who believe in marketing. And the 7 starts from number 1, determining the purpose of your research. So like I said, there are areas. So which area and what do you want to look for will determine how you carry out your research. Whether you design questionnaires, whether you talk to people one-on-one and write down the information they give you. You do a broadcast email for people to fill some forms for you, or you go to maybe a data collection agency to pick up information. The purpose for your research is as important as the result of your research. Number 2 is you need to research the current state of the industry you are in. You can do a research based or purposely for industry information, but then before you even do that, you need to know the current state. Very, very key, because if you don't have the current state of the industry and the sector, you may as well be misled by information from maybe 10 years ago or 20 years into the future. Even though it's very important, at the end of the day, it distorts the purpose for which you are doing your research. Number 3 is identify your respondent or your customers or the people you want to get this information from. Very important. If you don't identify them and direct the questions to them, for example, if you're talking to housewives, majority of them in Africa, housewives until recently were either uneducated or semi-educated. So you can't go and ask technical jargonic questions. If you don't identify the respondent and the possible customers for which you want to introduce your service or your product, you may as well be misled by the information you get. And you may think that, especially when you get very good information, you may start assuming that, hey, my business is going to do very well, and you fail woefully after investing huge sums of money. Number 4 is to understand your competition. Whenever you do your research, it is a known fact is that you understand your competition, because they may also be doing the same research, or they may be doing several research. If you don't understand what they are doing, so there are people who we call PIs, what the CIDs will call criminal investigators. We call them private or personal investigators in business. People send them, and they are either informant in existing competitors' office. It happens. I mean, the mafia management book actually spells them out. If you read the Classing's book on Samuel Classing's book on the richest man in Babylon, you need to understand.
That's an important book.
Yes. You need to understand what is happening. If you don't understand what is happening, you're actually not going to succeed. So whatever is happening should be hinged on your research portfolio. Then the 5th point is when you gather data. You need to gather data. Whatever you do from point 1 to 5, if you don't gather data, you can run then point 6, where you analyze the data. It is from the analysis of the gathering of the data from the customers, the respondents, from the competition, from the industry, that you're able to draw very good conclusions on number 6. You see, when I analyzed, I realized that there were 8 players. Player 1 and player 2 in the market actually are doing very well, and they have same or similar market share. But the remaining ones are the ones I can compete with. They are the ones I can easily collaborate with. They are the ones who are struggling, and they will listen to my ideas. Or they are the ones I can actually give counter offers to their clients and take them away from them. So your analysis is hinged on the data you gather, which is point 5 and point 6 respectively. And then finally, a good research is when you put your data to work. You don't just go and say, I've gathered data, and you're not able to put the data to work. So number 7 is to put the data to work. So these are, like I've shared with you, areas of possible research and how to go about your research. I think that we can always share information so that we can help people freely if they want to have specific research done. I mean, when they watch this video.
Another thing that I was thinking when you were doing this explanation is the questions. So what kind of questions are you supposed to ask when doing your market research, so that at least people then help you understand what they need to help you know what you can produce or provide for them? Help me understand that.
Right. So, in fact, questions are not definite. They are not straitjacketed. These questions always come from the type of research and the kind of people you want to talk to, or the place you want to derive your answers from on the research. So, depending on the kind of research, there are very key questions like, let me actually give an example so it makes sense on pricing. So if I am selling mobile phones and it's a new product in the market, it is obvious that a lot of people have mobile phones now. In fact, in Africa, according to the GSMA report, the number of phones available in the system being used is more than the population. So it is when people's phone have fault or they are old, depending on the preference of the client, or they get stolen, that they want to change their phones. So regardless of the brand and the quality and the price, you want to ask the questions like who the people are, their purchasing power, their disposable income at the end of a period, say a week or a month, how much they spend on data, how much they spend on phone maintenance, how much they are willing to pay for a new phone, for a new number, or to discard, maybe give this old phone to a relative or a friend and then buy a new phone. These are possible questions because then you know what your product is, what industry you want to serve, and how you want to serve them. These questions will help you design a marketing plan, as in how you want to now sell your product, a sales plan on pricing and costing, and a customer service plan. These questions, then you don't just ask them one by one, but they have. I mean, you know the flow chart thing where you ask if A is yes, why? If it is no, how? Those are the things. So you have a lot of questions and sub questions under each of them. But then it is not, like I said, a straight jacketed or definite procedure to follow.
All right, thank you for that. Another thing I was thinking is the question of data. In that, if you come to maybe some part in the West today, it is very easy to access data because data is a collation of information of the behavior of the people. Where did you go to buy your sachet water yesterday? Why did you choose to buy the blue cover instead of the red cover? You know, how many times do you buy these in a month? Of course, this one help the person who is producing to know whether they should be producing blue cover or the red cover. All these are the information that I gather, and there are bank of data that you can easily access in the West. So in terms of African situation, can you help me understand that how it's easy to access quality information about market research in Africa?
Yes. In fact, there are institutions who do these kind of works in Africa. I know a couple of them in Ghana. And then there are data scientists. Their business is to fetch data, analyze them for businesses. It used not to be very popular in Africa, but the places with a lot of data and internet penetration and gadget penetration have it. So Rwanda, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, a couple of other places, South Africa, they have all these things. Then there are now systems that run surveys online and at shops with customer complaints and feedback. It is these helps in gathering data. So in fact, it is very prevalent now, but I think that it can also be better. And those who also have data may have to announce their presence very well. But I know that there's data. I mean, those of us who are in business consulting, we always run data analytics. We always do what we call research and development before we arrive at maybe a very good business plan for a company who would reach out to us. So that's essentially the case. There are places where you enter, by the time you come out, there is this free internet, and then they ask you to just provide a 2 or 3 question survey feedback where you answer, were you satisfied with the client service, what challenges did you face, and what recommendations can you share for us to better serve you next time when you visit. All those things are for data collection and analysis. Yes. I must also say that if people want to invest or start new businesses, they may need to, depending on their exposure on data and knowledge, they may need to contact people in the system like consultants, data scientists, to be able to derive the right information, because you may have a very good idea, you may have very good amount of money, but without the right research, you may start the business and fail woefully or lose a part of the money which hitherto with very good research you may not have lost.
Another thing, actually, I want you to speak to is whether there are different types of survey that one can carry out for businesses or for market, as it were. There are different marketing survey that can be done that are available out there.
There are a number of surveys. I think I shared the area. So survey for capital requirement is one area. Survey for customer preferences is another area. There are different types of surveys. There are surveys for pricing. There are surveys for competitor landscape. There are surveys for business trends. There are surveys for industry analytics. There are a lot of surveys that are available for either people's consumption or for you to carry out as a fresh survey. There are different types of survey.
What about the factors? Are there some factors that affect the quality of survey that you are able to conduct? So which are some of these factors, if any?
Yes, there are. In my opinion, wrong respondent is one factor. So, I mean, people can talk about the next thing I'll refer to, but if your survey is hinged on questionnaires or asking questions, and you ask the wrong segment or type of people, like I said, if your identification of the purpose of the survey is defeated right from the beginning, so it can affect your survey result. And you may think you had a very good result for which you would launch, but the market will speak for itself in reality when you launch. There is the issue of financing a survey or a market research. Companies spend, I have been following the Shark Tanks for some time now. Sorry. And there are a lot of businesses that comes online or onto the show, and they say they have spent millions of dollars in research and development before they are coming for investment now to scale up. Financing is a great factor in research. If you don't have the money, the resources to ensure that you have a successful research, you may do maybe a biased research or a less quality research, then that results in wrongful conclusions and analysis.
Oh, right. Now, for people that want to connect with you, they want to know how to benefit from your services, what do you want to say to them? I mean, use these few seconds to promote what you do and how people can connect with you. Please go.
Yes, in fact, my focus is just three. I am into the business consulting, so right from business analysis, from the market research for idea generation, new product development, new service development, and everything concerning business, registering an LLC, putting the corporate governance in place, setting up an office. You can get that service from me. You can also get telecom related services, research, information technology enabled services, and everything concerning telecom business development. You can also reach me on that aspect. Then I am a life coach. So those are the three angles of my services: the life coaching, telecom research, and all those things, and then business consulting. You can call me or send me a WhatsApp message from everywhere around the world. +233 246 360 674. +233 246 360 674. And then you can reach me on every medium available: social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's one of my favorite apps. So you can reach me on my full name, Emmanuel Kwaku Labi. I'll share these slides with you, so there are additional content that you can actually add to the video, and then the information they can reach me on. That's essentially it.
Now, what would be your recommendation for people who want to understand or who want to get started with market research? What do you think they should do first in order for them to succeed?
Well, I think there's one thing. You need to have a proposed solution in mind, or a proposed business in mind. We have identified business as having identified gaps or challenges and providing sustainable solutions with them. That is how we have identified or defined businesses. So first of all, before you start with any of the steps in survey or market research, know what you want to offer, because it is a guideline for which it will ask you questions and identify additional opportunities. Number two, be careful to learn. Knowledge is inevitable in carrying out market surveys. Even those of us who are speaking fluently like this around this topic, we have not finished learning. In fact, there is more to be learned. So be careful to learn, know, understand the various indicators, indices, or dimensions for market survey before you start carrying it out. And number three, if you have the ability, consult somebody who knows how to do this and help you. Market research, in my opinion, is the foundation for which a good business can be launched, and sustainability and strategies can help maintaining that business. Like I said, every business has 4 stages, a business life cycle. It is 1, introduction, 2, growth, 3, maturity, and finally, decline. So you need to manage all these aspects, and you can only do that very well with research into the current trends and be able to strategize effectively.
Thank you so much for that, Emmanuel. Is there any other thing you would like to add to the conversation that we have had today?
I am very grateful. I think that viewers will pardon us for the quality of the video from my side, particularly. But we're going to be doing several of them. So Obehi, I am very grateful for the opportunity, and we'll make sure that we get them better content over the period. We'll always improve and give them very good content. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the call, and I wish that we have very good relationship and a journey that we can mutually benefit going forward.
Thank you so much for that, there, Emmanuel. I appreciate the time and also the contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.